It's not as important as our lives and happiness and all that. It's a big loss for sure, but we rebound.
The Deer Creek fire started 4 days ago in the LaSalle community, just 18 miles south of Moab. That was Brian Ballard, who you just heard from there. He owns the Wolf Springs Ranch, an off-grid vacation cabin rental property, a wedding venue in the foothills near Old LaSalle. He started his day completely normal until he received a call from people nearby of a fire that had just sparked in the area. He actually sent us the initial pictures and videos that we aired late last week right here on 2 News. About an hour later, he was rushing to pack a few clothes after being told to evacuate.
We're off the grid. We're totally solar. Everything's just really pretty up there. It was about 3 days ago. But I think the fire, of course, is with the breeze, it all just got way out of hand and just started heading east. And I had some people give me a call and asking if everything was okay because they got word that the fire was there. And I told them they shouldn't have to worry too much because the fire is way away from their concern. And so they went very quickly from there. You know, probably within maybe 45 minutes of that, we got word that they were wanting to have everybody, evacuate the properties up there. And so we hurried up and grabbed a handful of things that we could find and to get out of there. When I got to my home, and my mind went blank, totally blank. I don't know what it is, but I went in there and I just grabbed a handful of clothes and put them in a bag. And I looked all around and saw the things that are nice and pictures and things that might mean something to you, but you just walk away from it and hope for the best. Not as important as life. And your mind does go blank.
Well, a couple days later, Brian's still with a good attitude, a good head on his shoulders after the devastation. The firefighters contacted Brian actually 2 days later on Saturday morning. They asked him if they could join him and join them at his property to set up what they were calling a safe zone, so where crews could stage and have a safety point if conditions worsened.
And he took me up to the property and wanted to show me where they planned on putting what they did is they created a safe zone, what they call a safe zone. And it's kind of like maybe an acre of land they clear. So in case something happens, they have a place to resort to. And I was up there and I went up there, actually fed my animals and did a couple of things like that. And to our north, probably about a mile, maybe a little more than a mile, is what we call a dark timber area, which is very thick pines, ponderosas, big timber, and was not much of a concern. And there was some fighting going up there with the aircraft, but it was up there a ways. But within a few minutes of being up there, we could see that it started to flare quite heavily. So some of the firemen that were near my place there, we started just to kind of watch it, and see how that was playing out. It became enormous in just probably a 10-minute period. So big of a fire that we could feel the heat.
Well, we'll show you more of this video here in just a few minutes. Ballard says at least 2 of his cabins are gone, potentially more. He plans to get up there maybe tonight or tomorrow to try and survey his property. He told me they were occupied just a day or 2 prior by guests, people that love coming back to the ranch year in and year out to get a little slice of what they have to offer there off the beaten path. He says his neighbors who live there full time lost everything.
The noise was unbelievable, but it started to develop into what looked like a tornado. And it just started getting out of hand. You've seen the videos of that. We were taking pictures of it. And right away, the fire chief, that one of the commanders that I was with, he told everybody, he says, to the safe zone, everybody, get to the safe zone as quick. I thought maybe he was just a little premature with that. And so everybody gathered up and went ahead over to the safe zone, which was maybe 1,000 feet away or less. And we all kind of gathered in that spot. And all of a sudden, within, I would say maybe 10 minutes, that what had developed, what was looking like a tornado, turned into one very quickly. I looked up and I could see part of one of my cabins flying up in the air, and I just didn't understand how that could be a tornado right now. I mean, we were just in a fire, right? And so it quickly became something that we experienced that it came right over the top of us, and it was I could feel myself being lifted off. I was hanging onto the mirror of the truck, of the fire truck, and I was just thankfully I could hang onto that mirror, and debris was just passing by us, drawing the oxygen to the fire, and we were in the middle of it. We all of a sudden realized that we were in the middle of this tornado, and all the cabins prior to this time when this tornado hit were okay. Everything was okay, and the cabins are maybe half a mile away, but I can see them. Some of mine are over here too, on the ranch, and I would guess that the tornado lasted probably, I'd like to guess and say 10 minutes, maybe. As we couldn't see, it was black, but it was tremendous, and everything around us is burning. Everything that's outside of the safety zone is burning. I can see the oak brush is burning, and everything is aflame. And I'm just thankful that the chief had the wisdom to get everybody back. So after the fire, probably 10 minutes, blue sky came back. Every cabin that we could see was aflame. And I mean, they were big cabins, and they were on fire to the point where you couldn't put them out. You couldn't put the fires out. And so we were fortunate. We were able to drive out. I took some pictures of it, but it was a big enough tornado that it was rocking the vehicles, ready to it was just that close. I would estimate the winds are over 100 miles an hour easy. And it was all started. And by the way, when this started, there was only a breeze. There wasn't even a breeze. There wasn't even the you'll see even nothing is going on except for that fire itself created all of that tornado. It was massive and very quick. It was lighting everything on fire within as it spun around. Even some of the grass in front of the cabins wasn't burned. It just took the structures. And one of the connexes that we had actually put in front of one of the cabins up there, we put a nice connex that she had ordered. It lifted it up and threw it 1,100 feet. And they're pretty heavy. These connexes are several ton. And so it was quite the experience. We were glad to get out of there. And, that's pretty much what happened. Everything burned.
How many cabins did you lose, Brian?
I lost two right away, and I'm not sure about how many I've lost down in my canyon. I've got 3 or 4 down there, and I know that some of them were burned. I know the roof was tore off one of them. I lost a big piece of equipment that was there. It got burned up. But some of the people that actually lived there, they lost more because they lived there. And it was just a devastation that happened so quickly. The noise and the heat, we could feel the heat from a mile away. That's how big that was. I can't even explain it. I talked to one of the firemen while that was happening. I said, "Are we feeling the heat from that fire?" And he said, yeah, that's how intense that was. Like a train, the noise was immense, But what was surprising is how quickly it was on us. That's what amazed me, is that everything it twisted into was burning out immediately, And just to set these cabins on fire so quickly, because like I said, 10 minutes, maybe more, maybe 15 minutes of that tornado as it was coming around us, and all that. But by the time that had gone away, there was no hope for any of them.
Well, Brian has an immense amount of gratitude for the firefighters that are out there right now, by the way. This is still a very active situation. Wanted to bring in meteorologist Sean Kelly to help us better understand the vortex, the fire whirl, the pop term, firenado. What happened here?
Well, let me just start with, this is just showing the extreme power of nature and what it can be and just how dramatic it is. These firenados are extremely dangerous. They're hard to predict, and again, it's very, very difficult to fight these wildfires and these firenados. Now, a firenado and a tornado, though it is the same process, they don't start by the same thing. For a tornado, a true tornado, you need a thunderstorm, a supercell. But for this firenado, what we have here is intense heat. Intense heat. So with intense heat from the wildfires, that creates rising air. That rising air vertically must come down. So now you have rising air and then dropping air, this vertical column. Now you have winds outside of the firenado that are pushing it horizontally. That creates that little vertical movement of the air to tilt, and now you have horizontal spinning within the atmosphere here. So intense heat causes these firenados, and they are absolutely devastating and very unique and extremely destructive.
Thank you, Sean. Something I had heard from some of the firefighters that were out there, one of them who was physically in it, saying it was so intense, and some of the crews out there saying it's the most intense fire whirl activity they had seen in decades.
Yeah.
Thank you for the explaining.
He was mentioning these firenados can get as strong as 100-mile-per-hour winds, so extremely destructive.
And it was destructive. We will see how destructive after they're able to get a better sort of feel for that fire right now. Still very active. Sean, thank you. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake.
So you can tell by the demeanor of these two broadcasters, they're stunned, they're disheveled, they're in shock, and they're trying to act like they know what they're talking about. Like, well, yeah, you know, this just shows you that nature's powerful and that firenados can produce up to 100-mile-an-hour winds, you know, yeah. As if they've seen this before, but you can tell just by their demeanor and their countenance, this is something unlike anyone has ever seen. The firefighters themselves, they say this is the biggest one they've seen in decades. Yeah, because he's been working 35 years and he's never seen anything like it. You go through old video records, you won't find one of these anywhere ever, but they can't put it out there like that. They have to talk about it as if, oh yeah, we've seen this before. Yeah, this is what can happen. Yep, this is just proof that, you know, nature's powerful and that these firenados are capable of producing 100-mile-an-hour winds. Why? Because that's what just happened. Well, show me another one that's ever done that. Well, we don't have another example. The only other examples we have are far less than anything like what we just saw. And these days, these little firenados are common. They used to be very uncommon. Now, just about every fire that happens across the country, you'll see these small vortexes moving around within the video. Multiple of them, but just little tiny ones. Remember the analogy that I've made about putting your finger on the plasma globe lamp, where it creates one large electrical filament connecting between your finger on the outside of the globe and that little metal ball on the inside of the plasma ball lamp. And that creates the connection that we see in the middle of this firenado that creates that vortex. Remember also that I've talked about electric wind or ionic wind. That's what we're seeing here. That's why in every one of these fires, suddenly there's 70, 80, 100-mile-an-hour winds, a repeatable, routine process that happens in all these fires, not just the ones where it forms a firenado. All of these fires are accompanied by super high winds that come out of nowhere. Just before the fire started, the air was calm. There wasn't even a small breeze. And I guarantee I could go look in the aftermath and show you the remnants of electrical burn patterns within the trees that burned on the inside. He even talked about how some of the cabins were burned and the grass out front of the cabin wasn't burned. Because this is electrical fire and it moves like lightning, whether or not it forms one of these vortex tornadoes. When he referred to the Connex that got lifted up and thrown 1,100 feet. Those are big metal boxes that are about the length of a standard trailer that goes behind a semi-truck. 8 foot wide, 10 feet tall, maybe 12 feet tall, and about 40 feet long. Like he said, a couple tons. It weighs as much as a car. Except it's not as compact and aerodynamic as a car, so you probably didn't see any cars getting thrown 1,000 feet. This thing's bigger, so it's got wider surface area, so it can catch the wind more. But it's still about the weight of a car, if not a couple cars. Now, some people are going to go with the off-grid community angle of this and go, see, they're trying to herd us into the smart cities with the smart meters and the land grabs and the Agenda 2030 and the New World Order because you have blindness. You see the evidence that supports your little theories and you disregard and discard and discount any and all evidence that doesn't support your theory. That's called confirmation bias. Whatever conforms to and is confirmation of your theory. You see, look, a blue thing that didn't burn, but you don't point out all the green things that didn't burn, or the yellow, or the red, or the orange, or any other color. You hone in on and notice and highlight and showcase any blue thing that doesn't burn. And you're completely blind to anything else that remains unburned as if it's not the color blue. You're doing the same thing here, and we're all better off with people like you spreading that shit to keep the herd pacified and docile as Hindu cows, thinking that, oh, good thing someone's in control and this is all a planned and managed and controlled operation to herd us all into the smart cities. That's fine. Long as they don't find out no one's in control, because that's when things get out of control.
About to make the biggest fire whirl you've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
He said that's the biggest fire whirl you've ever seen.
About to make the biggest fire whirl you've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Getting ready for spots? Getting ready for spots, or if it just... All right.
All at the same time, a tornado wrapped with fire around it as well. Post-damage estimate of the storm system rated it as an EF2 strength tornado. So that puts it with wind speeds of 111 to 135 miles an hour out there. Again, in far eastern Utah, far western Colorado. Last Saturday afternoon, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, local time out there. Boy, scary sight. Saturday afternoon, it sparked this fire tornado out there. Fortunately, in very remote country, but still, that is an awesome and a scary sight. All at the same time, a tornado wrapped with fire around it as well. Post-damage estimate of the storm system rated it as an EF2 strength tornado. So that puts it with wind speeds of 111 to 135 miles an hour out there. Again, in far eastern Utah, far western Colorado, but not unprecedented. This has happened before, most notably back in Redding in Northern California in 2018. This is the fire vortex associated with the Carr fire back on July 26th, 2018. These are all homes down here, and here's your fire tornado going right through it. This one also was rated with the strength of an EF2 tornado right there in downtown Redding. And unfortunately, that fire, the Carr fire, destroyed over 1,000 homes in the city of Redding as it chewed through the city of Redding, unfortunately. Here's another example of one. This happened in the Wall fire. This was back in 2017 in Northern California, in Butte County, a little bit east of Chico and Paradise. And there you see the rotation around another fire vortex there in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. So scary sight for sure. What happened out in Utah last Saturday afternoon, but not unprecedented. Things like that have happened before.
Hi, I'm meteorology.
So he's telling you it's not unprecedented. Things like this have happened before, and he points to 2 other plasma fires within the last 5 years. It's been normalized for long enough that this has been going on long enough. They've now normalized it, and they can point to other examples that have happened within the last 5 to 7 years and say it's totally normal. That's not unprecedented. This is just what happens. Notice here he holds a light bulb up next to the plasma ball and it starts to turn on and glow. See here the flickering light phenomenon that Mr. MB3 has been showing since November of 24.